Peace, power, and profit to the family. Make sure the volume is good. Peace, power, and profit to the family. What's going on, everybody? Of course, I'll kind of delay a little bit of the commentary to a couple people come in. Of course, I don't have those hundreds and thousands of viewers that come in through the live, but those that do come through, who obviously want to, share in the wealth of knowledge and information and data that may be important for us to strategize around. I'll say to you guys, obviously, peace, power, and profit to you, right? What's going on? What's going on? Hope everybody had a great Wednesday, way back Wednesday, hump day, right? Whatever you want to call it, thump day, get a bag day, right? As long as you in the green and not red, that's all that matters, right? What's going on, Over Chris? So we got Over Chris came through already in the house, right? Always appreciate to have that brother come through, man. Again, I tell you, man, we got an awesome village, and I'll be looking and through the groups and here and there, and seeing these guys getting it in every day, collecting those checks, again, writing their own checks. Again, I need to have one of those little digital round of applause kind of reality, because what I've been seeing a lot lately is I've been seeing these guys taking this information, applying it, the skills, the training, their own study, they again, to be an autodidact in every sense of that value is like extraordinary when it comes to being able to make your own money. And you guys are starting to do that. Not that you haven't already been doing it, but even more consistently when it comes to the market, right? Because we know markets are ever changing, right? It's not a static environment, right? It's a very dynamic environment, right? You're dealing with news and again, that just the idea of all these different companies and how they fall into a particular sector, and then the indices and then the indexes and all these different moving parts to make the market such a volatile creature, even when it seems like the feds may have it on cruise control some days when they're just printing money left and right. But ultimately, we understand that there's no 2 days alike in the markets. Rarely do you have a market open up at a certain price, let's say 390, close 390, open up the next day at 390, close at 390, right? That would be a very rare occurrence if that was to ever happen, right? And so by that, we definitely know, again, there's no 2 days alike in the market, right? There's no blueprint to this reality. There's no rocket, a schematic value to build a rocket every day. In terms of just what you have to put in to be able to get out of it, there's no blueprint, basically, right? You have to come into it with an open mind and be able to adjust and audible your scenario, right? So that's what makes us, again, just dynamic people, and we're extraordinary, as I like to say. I always give kudos to those who are partaking in the opportunity to invest their way into financial literacy, I should say, or financial freedom, but more important, financial freedom, right? Because with that, again, you're now being able to remove the middleman, so to speak, right? You're being able to remove the stigma, all the prerequisites that come along with you having to be successful in life. Void of someone else giving you an opportunity. Here, you're affording yourself that opportunity. By the very nature, you being a taxpayer citizen in this country, not necessarily that, you could be obviously in another country and still partake in opportunities in the global markets. Of course, there are, transcontinental, brokerage apps and things of that nature that will allow you to invest in the other nations, right? Their global markets, their currency, their GDP, whatever. And so by that, we're not we're not landlocked. We're not, we're not prohibited by virtue of, our nationality, quote unquote, so to speak, right? That stuff doesn't matter here. And so that really makes us a universal, if you want to call it a universal entrepreneur, right? We're not actually dealing with the heavy product lifting and the calls that are made to distributors and this, that, and the third, right? We just come in and say, hey, I'm going to add this little bit of money to this opportunity or this operation, and we'll see, if you are able to grow it, right? We're going to check your financials. We're going to check your business model, see if you're current on your filings, all those things that matter for us, the technical analysis in terms of your chart perspective, and see if we can kind of help you help us, right? That's what we do as investor trader. We help these companies, right, fledgling or well-founded companies, obviously be in a position they could turn around and help us through our investment dollars, right? So again, we're talking pennies on the dollars. We're talking sub pennies, right? Sub pennies. Yeah, there's a such thing of a sub penny, right? Tenth of a penny, hundredth of a penny, thousandth of a penny, right? All right. So you can invest even those notional values all the way up as much as you can afford to obviously allocate to an investment project or a thesis, right? So again, with that being said, we're limitless, really and truly, right? Hence, as you can see on my screen here, you know, we have the immortal Morpheus, right, of the Matrix, right? Right, the true trainer of Neo, right? Understanding that, you know, of course, in this case, the meme reads free energy exists. Well, what do we mean by free energy exists? Well, obviously, we know that there's an aspect of it in theory out there, although it feels like it isn't plausible to our lives because we have what energy bills, utility bills, those things that come in and hit us every day. But ultimately, free energy do exist. It depends on how you look at it. Again, from the metaphysical to the physical to the applicable aspect of what we do in terms of using these utilitarian items like lights and things of that nature, hydro, whatever. Right. So the topic of discussion today obviously is very relevant to that because we're talking about what? The infrastructure bill that Joe Biden just released, right? His press conference that just ended maybe 40 minutes ago, somewhere around there. The importance of it as citizens and the importance of it as investors, right? So what's going on? Brother Matheson came through in the house. We see in the house over peace, power, property. What's going on? Ilbo Tamika in the building. Always happy to have her come through, right? Again, we cross channels from all walks, right? All right, so happy to have her here. Again, just y'all know how we do. We family, right? What's going on, Obo Brandon? Peace, power, property. You are resident hospitals in the building, right? As always, coming through. You guys always show love, and I'm always humbled and appreciative of that. And anybody that may be listening, kind of in the background. Again, I know you guys are busy. As I always like to come on sometime impromptu. I really don't get a chance to, do like I used to and kind of put out a big forewarning to get people all kind of riled up about a conversation. But nonetheless, the great thing about YouTube, it records it, right? And it is archived, so that way someone can come back behind it later, rewatch it if they so-called choose, pick apart what they might, take out of it, and that's that, right? So peace, power, profit, Patrick Passport. All right, so you then came in the building as well, man. Happy to have you here, right? Happy to have all you guys in the building. Kind of here briefly. I just want to discuss a little bit what you guys probably saw yourself. If not, we can probably hit a little bit, touch on a couple of those things. Again, not going to be on extraordinarily long. I'm saying that preemptively because that way, that way it won't be one of those kind of, constant sessions that we normally get into. But I do want to be able to touch on a little bit of the things that came out of that discussion with Joe Biden. Of course, the one thing that, some people would have loved to happen was him to take questions. And so if you've been watching some of his press releases of late, he have not been taking questions. Again, for what it's worth, whether you Democrat, Republican, y'all know I'm neutral when it comes to both of those. I have no party of that affiliation. My party is called the Moneycrats. That's just for anybody that want to get paid on their own time, under their own dime, under their own terms, right? So I dubbed and deemed us the Moneycrats, right? We're chasing what was owed to us, what was promised to us, and we're not going to stop until we get what is ours. And so by that nature, we are the Moneycrats, right? So get excited for that, right? So seriously. So within that, again, that infrastructure bill was very revealing. Some of it we already kind of discussed, like literally way back last year before he even was president. We was going over some of his mandates or pieces of legislature that he wanted to kind of implement if he was to get voted into the seat, right? And now we're starting to see those things somewhat come into fruition. Well, at least the language of it is starting to kind of, come into existence where you can start to plan around some of those talking points, right? Because it still has to get passed, right? It still has to, go through the rigor of getting through the House and the Senate, even though, it's a Democratic thing. They have, control of both the House and the Senate, only by a margin of one extra person, of course, Kamala Harris being the tiebreaker in that perspective in her Senate seat, right? But nonetheless, hey, what's going on, Family Rich B? Peace, power, property. That's right. Peace, power, property, and Moneycrats. That's it. But nonetheless, again, they do still have some, reconciliation power that's given to him. I think you get like 3 out of every year, right? You can have 3 reconciliatory type of executive privileges that you can implement beyond any kind of filibustering or Republican or opposing forces to kind of push a bill through. And so it would be interesting, coming into the idea that if this bill was to get actually, obviously, through the House and make it to the Senate floor, where we know it's going to meet opposition, because Mitch McConnell pretty much already made it obvious that he's going to push back on anything, because of late, he's been losing a lot of points, not just from the fact that he's now a minority leader, right? But a lot of people been coming after him, attacking him, because again, he's showing himself kind of like he's not as worse as Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, right? That is the most yellow belly, skunk back, flip flopping, wet fish, slimy. Him and Ted Cruz, like those two, again, I know some people are probably Republican on here. That's fine, because y'all know I'm neither. So I get to go in on everybody. Even get to go in on Sloppy Joe too, because I go in on Sloppy Joe too. Joe Biden, that is, right? Because again, it's just horrible. It's kind of sitting through some of these press releases and like, dude, like he just bound to mess up any second. You just know he's going to trip up. And so that fluidity of conversation necessarily is just not there like you got even with a Trump, right? Even though I'm not an old Trump fan, but let's just be honest, right? Y'all sat through this stuff like I did, right? And it's like gut-wrenching sometimes to sit through a press release. Like, dude, just don't mess up on the parts that the market is waiting to hear, right? Because, we was waiting to hear about the things that, the market was waiting to hear about, right? Number one, the taxation. We'll get into that a little bit. The initiatives, obviously, within the infrastructure bill, the most, the important, smaller pieces, the micro pieces of the bill, right? And how that would, present itself in terms of the market, right? How the market would, accept it or not accept it, right? But for the most part, it was a mixed reaction. And that's because, again, Joe Biden does not have, in my opinion, the orative skills to really convey a real powerful message, right? They will listen with the value that, okay, it's Joe Biden. It's already been scripted. He just got to read it, right? But when it comes to impromptu or improv value to any kind of piece of legislation, unless he has something that, that's very near and dear to what he's obviously been a part of throughout his existence as a person of government, then he's gonna struggle through it, right? He's pretty much gonna struggle through it. And so Mark is built around a lot of what hype and verbose conversation and grandiose standing and things of that nature, and that's what moves market, right? They love that wow factor, right? Well, you're just not going to get that out of a Joe Biden speech. I don't care who you are. Again, say what you want to say. Again, I give points to Trump for that, because one thing about Trump, he know how to move a crowd, right? One way or the other, he gonna move the crowd, right? How can I move the crowd, right? Some Eric B. Rakim style, right? Some of y'all, that's outside y'all, age bracket there. No, but seriously. So again, that's what what we kind of witnessed tonight. And so for us, we already know, we was waiting on the clean energy stuff, right? The idea of the charging points and, hearing them speak about, providing money for these new charging stations, quote unquote, that's going to be, very vital for a lot of electric vehicles now that, that incentive is on the table, so people, can start moving away basically from gas vehicles or ICE vehicles, right? This internal ignition combustible engines, as they say, ICE vehicles, all right, and move towards these more, green, clean energy type of vehicles. Again, electric cars, even hydrogen. Of course, he spoke on hydrogen, right? So for what it worked, even gave companies like Nikola, right, of all people, a small little bump, right? We know Nikola is garbage times 10. Of course, that's just, that's the reality of things, right? I'm not going to, not give them any credit, right? Because they have not proved to be worthy to get any credit, right? They are a complete house of cards. They are a smoke and mirror environment. They are all paperwork and no metalwork, right? So that, in my opinion, can't even give them credit in this whole ideal of the hydrogen conversation, because they've been able to produce nothing. And they've been in business how long? How much money they've been collecting of, investors' money, right? And even taxpayers' money to a degree, because subsidies and things of that nature that were already in play, and they've produced nothing, right? Literally nothing, right? A zero, zilch, right? So yeah, they are garbage times 10, right? All right, what's going on overseas? A peace, power, profit. What's going on over Rich B? I already said it one time. I had to say it again, right? So yeah, so again, that's what we're dealing with here. So briefly here, again, if you guys were able to see, the press release that he did. If you were able to see, I should say that press 1, right? If you were able to catch the briefing that Joe Biden did, press 1 in the back chat. All my Facebook family, if you are able to watch it as well, press 1 on your side as well. I'm just curious to know, if anybody, pays attention to this kind of stuff, because y'all know I like this kind of stuff, old nerd stats, right? Stats for nerds, whatever they want to call it. Right? But nonetheless, I just try to keep up with the things that provide me a window to make better decisions when it comes to my finances, right? Of course, if I'm investing in the market, especially as a trader perspective, now also in terms of my investment values too, but I want to know, like anybody, what's the most relevant path to success that I get to, obviously, operate under and in. So I don't want to get caught out there when there's any kind of particular breaking news, flash news, whatever the case. I want to be aware of it, right? Because again, that's why we have alerts that go to our cell phones. That's why we have all these publications and apps as well attached to our cell phones, tablets, or whatever, so we can get those alerts like right away, right? At least fast as possible, right? If not, you will have to go ahead and invest, and get that Bloomberg terminal, right? That's the most obviously, fastest paced news, calculative, app or whatever you want to call it, broadband based, I would say platform, even if you want to say app, platform that's out there when it comes to being able to deliver news, real time data, literally in milliseconds, right? You're going to pay for it though, but it's definitely going to give you what you need if you are an avid investor, trader who wants to keep up with all things when it comes to market related, news or whatever. So with that being said, again, if you were able to kind of catch that press release with Joe Biden, of course, there were some things within it, that we were kind of waiting to hear about, right? We were just wanting to know what's going on, right? So a lot of people are already kind of preemptively trading into this news. Right? Y'all know how this stuff go, right? As they say, right? You buy the rumor and you sell what? You sell what? You buy the rumor and you sell the what? Yeah, that part. And so even though we had a type of week in the markets overall in terms of S&P 500 where, it had somewhat of a small bounce back or a bounce back in general, right? Where, it gave us the opportunity to say, well, hey, let's see if the market going to really make this kind of push for 400, right? Everybody waiting for this 400, right? We got as high as 398 and change, especially on the future side of the market, right? If they want to call it the spot market or whatever, right? We got up to the highs like 398.75, right? So, we only have one more day left in this week here. Of course, y'all know there's no trading Friday, right? This is Good Friday holiday leading into the Easter weekend or whatever. I'm so lost in that stuff now. Again, don't come for me. That's just what I do. Right, whatever, right? But we have a short week, right? This is it, right? So you got to barbecue a mildew, right? So So with that being said, again, these are some things that we were trying to already kind of watching, in essence, and trying to see how the market would respond, right? So real quick, let me do this real fast here. Again, thank y'all for your patience. Thank you for everybody that's tuning in that might have just came into the building. Again, we're discussing the ideal of the infrastructure bill that Joe Biden just laid out. Pretty much he just kind of did like he always do. He didn't go off script. He kind of stayed within the confinements of the teleprompter, and he got through it, best he could, right? I just say that. He got through it best he could. And, of course, the wow factor within that was just not there. Of course, how markets are. Now, it didn't, as you can see, just even from this, this trading net chart here, it didn't do anything funky far as just selling off whatever. Now, you had this here going to the close, but that was before the speech, right? So all that was just, again, orders getting filled, dark pool, whatever, spiking and spazzing the market up. Y'all know how this stuff go, right? The typical foolishness you get when you see stuff like this. You're like, what is all that? Well, that's basically what's going on. MOC orders probably coming in, late market on close orders, basically. Things of that nature, right? But nonetheless, you can see there's a small uptick slightly in the S&P 500 here. bouncing up that 396 point, holding that, I should say, as a point of control support. Thus far, a little bit here on the after hours on the 5-minute chart. Nothing drastic. Again, he didn't really go in on the part that the markets were really scared about, right? And that was the taxation, right? He spoke about it, but he kind of slipped it in there in a way where it didn't really upset the algos of Wall Street, right? He just said, hey, anybody making over $400,000? Yeah, you're going to have to pay a little bit extra in that roundabout way. Now, one thing he did do was he actually got a chance to blow up, Amazon spot, right? I found that to be like very awesome. I like, yeah, get them, because y'all sat there like I did last year. We went over this stuff live on previous videos I did. Back at that time we were just going heavy on live streams where we broke down the fact that Amazon as a company skated on a $20 billion tax bill. Moment of silence, right? You got to pay your fair share or whatever they consider to be our fair share and extra. But here it is, a corporation like Amazon skated on a $20 billion tax bill that was owed because the loopholes and the tax code, all this foolishness, right? The idea that there's a loophole when it comes to taxation for those who have money as opposed to those who not, in itself should not sit well with people. But yet, y'all know how this stuff goes. People will always vote against their interest because they feel like you're going after what? Self-made people or corporate governments in a way where these people earned their right. Well, did they earn their right to also not pay their fair share of taxes? You don't get that privilege, so you're saying you should be double penalized and take that L and pull up yourself by your bootstraps and go all through all that stupidness to try to prove a point to who? That you love being taxed more than everybody else, even the wealthy you get a chance to not get taxed and you get taxed and you feel good about that? Like, seriously, but that's the mind of a lot of people, right? Y'all know they're really under the illusion of inclusion, right? And to me, I just like, man, seriously? Like, seriously? Right? Like, how can we, how do we even get here, right? I just hope a lot of us, get to the point where, we start really understanding how this system is set up, how the game is obviously, presented, so, we're not sitting there confused basically about, being able to get the best out of, this system, same way everybody else is doing. So outside of you working for someone else, the only way you're going to be able to provide yourself with that level of freedom is if you get invested, right? You're going to have to find a way to get invested, right? Meaning let your money go work for you, right? Or you're going to have to find a way to, again, start up your own business, right? Unless you're not the heir of some late whomever, baron or heiress or whatever, right? King or king in Africa, whatever. Then, your only kind of, course of action, plan of action to obviously succeed that of maybe even what your parents might have achieved in their existence if they're not, still living or whatever. But is to go out there and find your own way, right? You have to find your own way out there, right? You have to find ways to, let your money again go work for you, right? As opposed to you working so hard for it, because again, ultimately we know American capitalism is really succinct with the idea that if you own equitable assets, things that appreciate or have the ability to appreciate, then you're a more protected class of Americans. Not even so much even the ideal about the basic classization aspect that we know we're used to in this country, but really it goes to the people who actually own assets, right? It's a defined microscope that are really hovering over them because they have the ability to wake up the next day and be what? Hella rich, right? Have an extra, stipend or bag or value that can help them, obviously push to attain more, right? Any given day, again, one of their investment values can just 1x, 2x, 3x, 5x, all the way up to 10x and not more in some cases. And that'll change their whole life forever. Number one, the tax bracket going to change definitely. But more so their lifestyle. Not even, they don't have to go out and spend more. It's just that they have the ability now where they can afford to do things. In my case, I'll be making bigger investments. That's all, right? More, even bigger and more strategic investments. Of course, as I say, getting over that $1 million hump. That's a goal that would just be like, okay, yeah, right. Now you can really, really make some moves. But nonetheless, no matter where you start from, we're all in that position, right, where we're trying to grow our assets, right? Grow our opportunity, right? So again, with that being said, you know, you have to, understand the game enough to know how to play the game, right? And this is not a scenario where you say, well, man, you just, that would be like hating on them. That's not hating on them. They're saying there's no hate within that because they are obviously bound by law like you are. So guess what? If there's no special privileges under law, even though we know they are, then it's what? It's it's an equal playing field from that perspective, right? So again, of course, you're gonna say to yourself, all right, well, man, this is kind of jacked up, right? Yeah, I mean, they 20 billion, right? That money could have went to what? Some of the stuff that they're talking about, right? Think about that. $20 billion could have went towards, again, some of the same things that they're presenting, right? In terms of the infrastructure bill, quote unquote, whatever, right? All right. So that's why I say in that perspective, you want to see people, toe the line, the same way, they would have you toe the line, right? Again, paying their fair share or whatever the case, right? So whatever, right? So again, with that being said, again, we're gonna kind of hold up. Where are we? This is I'm on yes. All right, let me go over here. We're gonna kind of delve into some of those things or those talking points to a degree here, and we'll get in and get out of here. Again, thank y'all for tuning in again. Everybody in the bad chat coming through. All right, see, we got a couple new family came through as well. Right, we have the most awesome, illustrious Miss Ilba Monica Lamb that came through in the house. Go subscribe to her YouTube channel. Right, don't think twice. Don't think twice. Go subscribe to her YouTube channel. See her name. Right click that thing, or have it left click. Right, and then right click it and go copy it and then go paste it in YouTube search bar. Find her channel and go subscribe. Right, and do the same thing for Oba Chris and who else we know to have a page that's building a page. I think brother Brandon, he's coming. Right, I know Oba Marquise is coming. Right, Oba Ali came through in the building. What's going on, God? Peace, power, and profit to you, Oba. Happy to have you here as always, guys. Go subscribe to his channel too. Also, he has actually two YouTube channels. His actually, he has a I like to call it agro organic infrastructure blueprint that's unmatched. If you ask me, that brother got it going on when it comes to, again, teaching people how to take, basically seed and feed an animal to literally to your plate, and again, at an awesome turnaround time. Sustainably too. Sustainably. We're not talking about having to go out there and depend on this and that. He has built his own ecosystem. It's kind of the same thing we're talking about tonight, actually. Knock on wood, right? Clean energy, infrastructure, being able to farm more sustainably, right? Use the things that you have to take care of the things that you need, that you could, that of subsistence, right? Food, right? Clothing, shelter, right? So that brother has a blueprint. I think we've already done like a powerhouse interview with him on the Dagger Squad channel. If you haven't found that out, y'all might need to go pull that up. I wish I had the link right in front of me. I'll post it. But you might want to go back and watch that because he has a wealth of knowledge and information that I know a lot of you guys would love to hear. I mean, a lot of you guys, right? We see it, but he's actually living it, right? So shout out to our brother Ali, right? Dawu L in the building, as you see him down in the back chat. Go subscribe to his channel, Black Soul Farms. Again, he'll possibly post that in the back chat so you guys can go, get in on some of that action too, right? So really quick, again, like I said, I don't want to kind of stay on too long. I know we got the Dagger Squad, Urban Economic Empowerment show this evening. So definitely, y'all hit me up when I'm getting a little too lengthy because I want to blow through this kind of quick as possible, at best I could, right? But so really quick, so the top things that we're going to look at really quick are some of the stocks that are related, right? To that clean energy initiative, right? We spoke about some of those things already, coming into this, but also, last year, but also more recently, right? We spoke about, we know we had the infrastructure bill coming up this week here. We were planning for it, last week into this week. Hence the market kind of gave us pretty much the bump that we thought we was going to get out of it. It already did that, right? It did that thus far. Even though we have one more day left here in the trading week. Again, this is the last day. Basically, today is the last day of this cycle, this month, right? Now, we ended the quarter, again, last, was it a couple days ago, somewhere around there? Last Friday, a couple days ago, somewhere around there. So, you're going to have what they call that kind of month-to-month assessment value, how people look at the markets, whatever, right? Give or take. So new money obviously is either going to barbecue or mildew, because the one thing we do know is that the yields are not letting up, right? So those bonds, those 10-year yields, they're not letting up, right? And for what it's worth, we are in a point where, again, the market is already trying to price in, America going back to work. So the yields are starting to rise again. Again, the gravy valley biscuit wheel aspect of those yields are pretty much over, right? Unless they can come up with some new catastrophic scenario to kind of, ether that of what we already started to do in terms of getting back to, normalcy. Something else come along basically and disrupt that. Then you got to expect these yields to kind of start to account for all this, new organic GDP that the market is seething to be able to receive, right? To at least own up to the valuation that they're starting to, profess that they're worthy of, because we know the entire 2020 was what? A Fed-driven market, right? It was no organic growth, in my opinion, really, that you can say, okay, this scenario earned it, right? There's some companies who were essential, who definitely got a chance to, benefit greatly. And so they earned a lot of organic growth within that. Of course, we know about the consumer staples. Some of these consumer discretionary items are still necessary during the pandemic because they offered up items that we needed. There's other opportunities out there, backstop things that gave us some kind of normalcy during the pandemic. But ultimately, a lot of companies did not, right? They did not, right, deserve the valuation that they got with all that Fed, printing near $7 trillion. Right? Keep in mind that the Fed's balance sheets before the pandemic hit was already hovering around about what? We got up as high like 4. I think they pushed it back down, of course, like near 2 and change. And then this is, coming out of Obama into Trump. And then, the tariff scenario that caused problems. Then in came the repo markets, and in came what we know to be, obviously in this case, when the quarantine scenario came into place, or the virus came in, it was just all out floodgate. Open up the spigots. The Fed started printing paper like it was just no tomorrow. Right? So again, they actually had a run on their balance sheet, not a run off, but a run on to their balance sheet of roughly around, at this day and time, around about near $7 trillion. Now, again, our national debt was already umpteen something, or 28 something, 20 odd something trillion dollars, and then we just ran on an additional 7 trillion just like literally overnight. It typically takes like they say between about 2 or 3 presidents to kind of amass that kind of level of debt, right? Around about $7 trillion, right? They kind of account for maybe, for each 4-year term of president may add, somewhere around about 2 trillion, give or take. We know inflation is the issue. Time, cost of living is going up. We get that, but we're talking about, that's $2 trillion bucks, and we did had 7 trillion came out of what, right? In literally about 13, 14 months, 7 trillion with a T. Right, so again, whatever. So we know that to be obviously what it is, because look at the market, right? The market got free money going back as far as low as basically on the March lows, right? And everything from that point on was just what? Feds printing, and it just ran the market up. No companies were producing items like that. No companies were sending goods, exporting, importing like that. And again, y'all know even the Midwest, they had crops that were just dying in the fields. Soybean turned to just rotted and molded. Corn molded, rotted. They couldn't even ship that stuff, right? They couldn't even get the grains, on the planes, boats, or whatever. They just rotted in silos. So again, that just shows you, how you account for all this growth, and then stuff was just rotten, and they couldn't sell stuff, and y'all get it. Moving on. So yeah, the market here, in terms of this week, like we're discussing, ahead of this infrastructure bill was just in my opinion, like as I always like to say, it was a given. We had bottomed out, obviously at the base of the linear regression band here. We had a blow-off bottom. There's a thing called a blow-off bottom, the same way there's a blow-off top, right? It's kind of pierced out in this ugly wick here, this indecisive value here. That came down as low as like 383, right, on the 25th of March. Coming until this week, it was just bound to be a rebound, right? Of course, being able to clear the 20-day moving average here was the kind of gun line, tell them about the gun line, boss, right? In this case, where the market kind of closed up on last Friday, roughly around 389.70. So we were playing off that 389, high 389s, whatever, in that 390 area going to this week. So everything that you bought, down around that area was was golden, right? Of course, on the 26th, right? Near that 389 bottom, 390 bottom. So, obviously going up, cresting out around, let's say maybe 396.41. kind of pulling back down and presenting that kind of rounded bottom, right? And so, we was kind of attacking. I know, myself personally, a lot of people in the groups were attacking at 394 and 393, 395 area very heavily, right? Very heavily, aggressively. 392 area, we was attacking those areas very aggressively as a place of support to kind of play into the end of the week, of course, today, and then even into tomorrow. Now, tomorrow, obviously, still to be, unveiled. We don't know how it's going to respond. But thus far within that, what Joe Biden has been able to kind of relinquish in this infrastructure bill has not really upset the markets, right? Because I was thinking if he say anything or he's kind of delaying the stuff that people really want to hear about for the taxation, that's what Wall Street was really waiting on, then we might be in some trouble. Now we're still not in all clear, but as of now, the future market's kind of trending to the upside, right? It's kind of slightly, gradually kind of trending back towards the upside, right? So we'll see, right? We shall see, right? But nonetheless, that's what we're dealing with. So again, very, very good week for making a little money here. We was all kind of, in and out some of these call buys into the SPY, and so for the most part, I would say maybe 90+% from what I was seeing successful, right? I know a lot of people, they might have posted their loss if they had any, but I saw a lot more wins coming through the groups than I saw anybody having problems with the market. So to me, I'm gonna chalk that up as everybody, that's a big W, right? That's a big W, all right? So really quick, so like we was talking about, so the stocks that or let's say the bill, right? The bill, all right? So really quick, so all right, so we're talking about what were some of the I just want to call it ancillary items, right? The accoutrements of the bill that were of importance, right? Now we know that the bill in itself is roughly a two-part bill series, right? If you guys didn't know, it's a two-part bill series, right? You have the first one is dealing with a lot of infrastructure, right? Things of that nature, energy, whatever, etc., etc. I know this stuff, clean energy, whatever. And the second one is supposed to be about more so relegated to the actual, American people, right? Quality of life for the American people, right? This one is more quality of life for infrastructure, sustainability in terms of our grids, our vehicles, things of that nature, just, water, all that, right? Because he spoke about a little bit of all those things. Not necessarily in grave detail like a Trump would do. Because Trump, y'all know Trump is. Trump slick with it. He'll be naming names, right? He'll be name dropping on Joker. Yeah, that's why we're excited to have Tesla. Because Tesla, being an American-made company, leading innovation when it comes to electric vehicles. And man, you gotta love that Elon Musk. And he's the guy, isn't he? That's Trump, right? And so anytime Agles would have heard that, man, Trump, man, look, Tesla would have been like 730 right now, right? But again, y'all know Joe Biden is just not his, his stick. He don't kind of, speak in terms of these companies individual unless it's just necessary. And so he leave, the market to themselves pretty much, as a lot of people have been witnessing that they're not getting that pump value that you normally get with a Trump because he likes to kind of big up the markets all the time. Biden's like, hey, I'm just going to let, my policy legislation do its due. If the market's kind of accept that, then so be it. If not, whatever. Right? So a lot of people who are spoiled under the idea that Trump was always there to kind of cater to the markets and pump the markets even when they were just, egregiously needing to kind of come down or pull back, they're upset right now. So everything, in terms of it, they can't necessarily strategically, I should say, trade the markets thoroughly because they got spoiled, and now because of that, their biases are getting in the way of them making good, sound decisions. They blaming everything on Biden. Couldn't make this stuff up. Again, I'm being these little rules, whatever people just, laying into buy. Hey, whatever. I don't care who it is. You still got to know how to trade, right? Both sides of the market, up and down. You need to learn how to invest in every aspect of the market, one way or another, because guess what? These presidents come and go, right? These dictators, whomever, however, they come and go, right? But the markets are always going to remain, solvent, meaning they're going to keep finding ways to what? Produce a profit, one way or the other, right? You got to find those assets that obviously set up to give you that such opportunity, but they're going to be there, right? So, off the top, right? So the one thing that he spoke about was the bridges, highways, roads, right? Road safety, right? Again, some of you guys live in some areas where y'all know, like, man, like seriously, the roads are like Swiss cheese. Like your axle, your suspension, your struts, your boots, and your control arms. Got some of my mechanics out there. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Your brakes, your tires, all that stuff that just, man, it's like going to war, right? It's like, what's the use of owning a nice car if you can't drive down a clean road down there, right? Unless you live in certain areas that have a clean, roadway and all that. But for the most part, America is raggedy. America is a very raggedy nation when it comes to infrastructure. Bridges are falling, literally falling down. In a country that's supposed to be the richest country of all, have all this, access to opportunity and materials to build stuff up, yet there's no money going there. Again, look at Flint, Michigan. That pretty much eats that whole conversation out the gate. You just go, anytime people get to talk about whether America is great yet, now Flint, Michigan, right? Shut that down real quick, right? Let's talk about Flint, Michigan, right? Close, whatever, right? Grand opening, grand closing, right? So, again, I'm just saying, y'all know as well as I know, there's a big need to fix up this raggedy behind country. The roads, the bridges, highways, it's just like, seriously. Especially, anybody live in Atlanta, y'all know what I'm talking about. That 285 perimeter, man, they always doing construction on that stuff. If not that, 75 to 85, right? It's always going to be some road, construction or something going on. But again, same with New York, right? Especially Jersey, going into New York, Jersey City, going through the Holland Tunnel, right? Going in the backside of Manhattan, all those areas, man. It's like Michigan, God, man, Michigan. You think Connecticut, Michigan? Well, certain parts of Connecticut, right? Because they got a little money up there, but definitely certain parts of Michigan, man. The roads are like, again, man, like somebody just threw landmines, pretty much let landmines off. Like who wants to drive in that, right? Especially with a nice vehicle, right? So I'm just saying, all this bragging about America, this, that, third. I'm like, man, this stuff is, man, look. All right, yeah, good luck with that one. But no, so there's a lot of stuff that has to deal with that. So $115 billion is going to be going towards out of that bill, right? Some of you guys know that the bill as of now is supposedly kind of around about $3 trillion, 2.5 for the most part, right? And so out of that, 115 billion is supposed to go towards bridges, highways, roads, and road safety, right? Again, stoplights, all that kind of stuff like that. Y'all get it, signs, whatever. And so if you think about stocks that may be also within that perspective, right? I know Ober Brandon, he was able to grace the family with a ETF, right, which is the infrastructure play, as y'all see here on my screen, right? It's called PAVE, right? It's a global, a global FDS U.S. infrastructure development ETF, right? Right? It's an NYC ARCA and regular basic market, ETF in itself, right? So this was a stock that we also looked at. This ETF. I think it was last week we talked about this stock, but we were talking about what it would be like to if we were to take a long position on this going into this infrastructure bill. Over Brandon pretty much laid out his thesis, what he wanted to get out of the trade, by at least August, right? I think he said about August was this kind of timeline. If I'm not mistaken, you can correct me in the back chat, Over Brandon, if I'm wrong, but you had a plan to trade this into at least August, right? Kind of buy and hold, right? And so, when I kind of did my little analysis, I was saying, if we can get this thing anywhere down near the low 23s, right? That would be my my area of opportunity, right? Especially the low, down here near this point here, right? I'd have been like, yeah, high 22s to high 23s, I'm all in. But for the most part, the stock came down as low as what, 23.32, right? Not bad at all, right? Just kind of banged up against some support in this area here. These little candles over here to the far left here, right? And it kind of held its its weight right there. So if you're looking at certain opportunities in that stock, if you would have bought in around that point, of course, you'd be up right now, right? So the calls that we were even speaking about for the weeklies, or somewhat to that nature, or the next expiring week in terms of the 16th, which is next week, or the following, 2 weeks from now, excuse me, they were still, slated around about that $25 strike price. Anything from $25 down to $22, $23 were the more actionable, options to trade in around that stock, right? We just using it as a quick little backstop, a conversation, a topic, within the infrastructure bill, right? The ideal of what stocks that might be, worth you looking into, so to speak, right? as an ETF or just what? Individual stocks. So this one here is a collection of all those type stocks, right? We looked at some of the stocks that's inside of it, John Deere, many others, right? Of course, who gonna build America, right? Heavy industrials, right? Industrials, raw materials. Like that's why U.S. Steel been going up almost for the past 3 weeks to a month. I don't know if y'all been watching steel, but I've been watching it every day. It's almost like every day steel is just ramping up, right? And we'll look at that stock here, momentarily. But as far as this, ETF here, this PAVE, right? Again, only $25, right? Low beta stock doesn't, have a lot of crazy movement, erratic movement up or down. So again, a really nice, clean trade or investment value that you can play well into the potential or ideal of the signing of this bill. Again, this thing is not going to really get the popping, meaning the bill, until really about August. This is just kind of laying the groundwork for it now, and then doing all the itemization of where they think the money is going to go, right? The allocation, right? The companies that are going to bid for the contracts and all that kind of stuff, right? That's going to be another opportunity, right? Who's going to get awarded these contracts to build? Of course, Joe Biden said what? He wants to make sure that these American companies that's going to do the work, American material values that's going to be able to provide the materials. He want to keep it almost 100% American made from top to bottom. And why wouldn't he, right? China does it. They rarely export or import when they come to building up their stuff. Of course, they own most of all the raw materials out there because they bought up a lot of people land and contracts to be digging in everybody else's backyard, right? They just they still in their industrial revolution. So of course they just cornering the market, right? That's why everybody mad at China, because China got that dough, they got that money, and they letting their money lead the way, right? And people who try to play the nationality or patriotic card, they're like, nigga, man, they come with that bag, man. Forget all that. I'm finna sell these people this item, right? I'm gonna sell these people this land or whatever. So, but for America, of course, we kind of operate from a driver's seat perspective to a degree. So yeah, you would want to see obviously America being able to produce something, right? In terms of when they had this heyday of industrial revolution, or revitalization, if you want to say that. For the most part, that's what the country needs now, revitalization. Then of course you want to have American-based companies and liquid liquidators and all those types. Y'all get them, right? They out there. You want to have those people obviously they kind of feed off some of that money, right? You will hope, because it employs who? American workers, right? Which turn around and helps what? Right? The economy, right? Which feeds into the GDP, right? I mean, it's simple economics, right? Economics 101, right? So again, you want to kind of be more vertically integrated, vertically integrated, meaning everything in-house, everything done in-house, manufacturing, everything, right? So it really helps keep all that money, kind of aggregated in terms of our, the economy as a whole. So again, this little ETF again, we spoke about it again last week or so, and we looked at that time around, it was about $23 and change at the $25 strike calls, right? So right now those calls are, doing quite well, and they were dirt cheap, right? They were dirt cheap. I think at the time we looked at them, right? Matter of fact, this ain't the true accurate readout, but we'll just say for the sake of it, at that $23 strike price that we looked at for buying in the money, right? For even a little time out, but just for this particular most closest expiration date, which is on the 16th of April, well, that contract right now is at a minimum is up 70 cents. That's a 70 cents differential, right? In that perspective, in terms of the price of the contract. So you're talking, 70 cents minus $2, right? That was the last contract that got filled at $2, right? So that's this contract, at the beginning of the week or last Friday, whatever, was on no more than $1.30 a contract for this $23 in the money, at the money, or at the money, whatever, right? In the money, at the money, at that time to go into at least about a 2-3 weeks expiration time frame that you had at your disposal, leading into the infrastructure bill. So these what we call like givens, right? These were the given trades that, again, you could have parked the $130 in this contract. Now, give or take, it might have been a little cheaper, who knows? But we'll just say that's what it ended at in terms of bar chart. And right now, you'll be up 70 cents on that contract, right? You'll be up 70 cents on that contract. All right, so that's a nice little bag. That's a nice little bag. All right, forbid if you bought more than one, whatever, then you can do the math on that. Again, that's implied value times 100, right? That's times 100, right? So again, get excited for that. So again, those little moments like that, I really get excited because you can really plan around the market in terms of again, policy, legislation, whatever. Rightfully so. Of course, you got other things in play too, but learning how to read all the tea leaves is what makes us strategic traders. That's why if you're trading options, you can't skip none of this what I'm talking about. Right? If you want to be a very effective option trader, you got to know fundamental. You got to get your fundamental ground game up, and your technical ground game up, and your research data analytic game up. Right? Again, learning how to apply all the information into into a particular perspective. When it comes to that, in terms of option trade, understanding if there's any kind of Greek aspects of it that you need to know about. Right? Again, time, right, and money, right. The whole aspect of option trade is basically derived around time and money, right. Well, basically that's what the moving average is, isn't it? Right. The x-axis and the y-axis, right. Time and what? Money, or time and percentage. How things should move in a certain trajectory over time, given that it has a healthy value of money or inflow coming in. Left to its own devices and not having people shorting it, whatever, everything will go up and to the right at a 45-degree angle. Right? That's just how markets are designed. Markets are designed to go up. So don't get it twisted. By their very nature, they are designed to go up. So every day if you shorten it, the market is already against you. It's not that you even have any kind of leeway for the fact that any bad news, whatever, may even come out about a certain stock or even the overall market. Doesn't matter. If the people are still more defensive in terms of protecting their positions and buying the market, in a risk-on environment, even though it should be risk-off, then guess what? Then hey, it is what it is, right? Right? But that nonetheless, you need to know again both sides of that, so you can always trade a very clean and methodical, well thought out, perspective, right? So that way you're not out there just kind of, like a lot of people just like, I think it's going to do this, and I think it's going to. Now, again, what, why, where, when? 3 of those questions, if nothing else. Right? At least 3 of those. Answer those 3. If not, don't take the trade. Right? Don't force them that does not necessarily need to be forced. So right now, again, this little trade is up. It's popping up that news. I'm pretty sure maybe not. It is an ETF, so right now, after hours is showing unchanged. So again, it had a nice little run. Again, leading into into that news. Right? It actually had a blow off top, which made it so good because today it actually had its blow off top. Right? And only because it got outside the linear regression band. Right? True story. Right? So it actually fulfilled that kind of short term. Hold up. Is my screen wasn't even showing? God, all that time. See, y'all know how it is. Sorry about that. I don't know if it was showing or not. Right? What's going on, family? Robbie Rouse. What's going on, family? Blue Cousin in the building. Peace, Power, Prophet, Ilba Camille in the house. Peace, Power, Prophet, over Marquise in the building. So all that time I'm sitting there talking, man, everything wasn't even sharing, man. See, y'all know y'all supposed to have to message me and just say something. Y'all know how it is when I get going. I get excited about the information, right? I'm an information, I don't know, information nerd, if you will. No, but so today, PAVE, right? So again, it topped out around about 25.88, right? You bottom out on the lower round about 24.90. So even in that perspective, that's about almost like a full point move. For this stock, that is a lot. Right, so the blow off top just was very instrumental because it peaked outside the linear regression band. So all of the people took profit. They caught the bounce all as it is. Right, think about this. Right, and coming into this week out of Friday, last week, whatever the stock I was at a low on that Friday, it was around about 24.41. Even Monday in itself, you kind of hovered around a low around about 24.62, getting about a 21 cents differential there. You still, even if you bought like deep in the money, bought the 23s, if you didn't buy them last week, like we were looking at them, they're down here at this point here, around the 20-day moving average, you still could have bought the 23s in the money, even the 24s, right? A little bit out of the money, if you want to say that, right? It was actually in the money, but whatever. And still made a nice little bag. Again, just thus far alone, the contract today put up 70 cents. That's not even, think about what it did the previous day, because again, you clearly see it was an uptrend. All right, it culminated in a blow off top today, but nonetheless, the money was it was made, right? You see it kind of coming off and just kind of making this move straight up, beeline straight up today, where clearly, people like, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and ring the register. Now I bought these contracts, down here, expecting to hold them for at least another 2 weeks, whatever, right? And let's say they bought multiple contracts, man, good, man, look, they I'm gonna ring the register. I would ring the register too. Right, if you got them for that, short length of time, you didn't buy kind of further out, right? Because obviously giving the stock a chance to kind of go up, feed out the information, pull back down, go through its natural range of motion and kind of matriculate to the upside. In this case, you got all that and then some in one big weak Christmas present, right? One big tally of opportunity and success in those option trade. Of course, you spend $1,000 on that. That gives you around about maybe seven. Let me see. About 7 contracts, somewhere around there, give or take 6, 7 contracts. Let's say hypothetically you bought 23s in the money at that point, and you cleared at least a minimum of $1, say $1.30, $1.30, net on those contracts, right? That's roughly around about $1.30, right? As we say, right? Times 7, right? That's a nice little bag, right? That's a nice little bag, and of course that's times 100, right? The 100 shares value, within that aspect that's tied to each contract, right? So that's a nice little bag, right? That you just spent $1,000 and here you is up, a nice little piece of change, right? Just playing into this news, right? This infrastructure bill or the news thereof of it, right? So shout out to Oprah Brandon for again bringing this to our attention. Because I've seen it once or twice here and there, but they're really gonna do a little dive into it. Shout out to Oprah Brandon for that. And not sure if he took the position or not, but I know strategically he already had mapped it out, so I'm pretty sure he already game plan for it. So he's winning as of now, regardless. Either way, solid position there. Right. So moving on a little quick. So again, 115 billion in terms of that roads, highways. So I would say again, go look at those stocks that have anything to do with highways, bridges, roadways, things of that nature, right? Safety items, things of that nature, right? Any company that may be affiliated with those kind of things that are American based. Keep in mind, the key word is American based because Biden made it clear. American based companies, materials, right? The manufacturing, the building, whatever, right? He's looking to kind of put that money in those people's pocket. So again, whoever out there that you may know of that could benefit in this position, then yeah, you might want to look into those, right? A little research, right? I'm not gonna give away all the secret, man. You got to do your own research too, to a degree, but look up those scenarios like that. All right. So the next one, really quick here. So public transportation, right? Now that's a really good one because that one they're loaded with a lot of different opportunities, right? Buses, right? School buses, public transportation like MARTA, all that stuff, trains, MARTA system in terms of metro trains and even state to state type of train and high speed railways. He spoke about that. Of course, that's very interesting because some of you guys who may or may not know, our esteemed elder Dr. Claude Anderson, right, one of our most esteemed, foremost financial wizards out there. He's positioning himself to kind of push forward a high speed railway, right? A high speed railway scenario or a system that basically runs from from the East Coast, as far as I think he said, as far as like Texas, somewhere out there. If not, somewhere as far as Texas, I think. If not California, but that would be great because again, just having opportunity where even the black-owned businesses, whatever that can get it, at the head of that would be great, right? Because it's time, in my opinion, it's been time for, of course, in this position where Black Americans can really start owning the true piece of what they call tangible infrastructure in this country beyond that what we already built, right? Beyond what we've already built for free, that we need to start owning some of these things, right? We think about the old school railroad system like CNS, B&O Railroad, all them old school. Y'all played Monopoly before. Y'all know the railroad company, right? The railroad company made a killing back in the day, just transporting raw materials back and forth, from the mountains and the Yucatan Peninsula. All this stuff, man. Look, it's about time that again the Black American itself own what's duly owed to him or her anyway. So kudos if Dr. Claude Anderson is able to get that high-speed railway contract. He's pushing forward. Him and his team, they're pushing forward. They've been talking with Biden. Again, if anything I do to support him, I'm going to support him. I always support him anyway. I have supported the the Harvest Institute as it is, right, several times, just in general, but definitely even more so with this high-speed railway system that he's pushing for. So if you guys want to be a part of that, of course, it's not me just advocating for it. I'm just speaking my piece in terms of my knowledge, what I know about it. Then go look him up, right? But nonetheless, again, public transportation, school buses. Again, school buses are going to move away from gas guzzle, because they burn a lot of gas, right? Again, diesel gas, whatever. But imagine if your school bus was electric. Imagine if the school buses were electric. Kids ain't got to sit there and what? Breathe in all that old nasty exhaust. Y'all know how it is if you rode the school bus to school. You sitting on them back seats in the back, bad enough that you got to, catch those bumps on the back seats above the tire wheel. But if you just sit there and that thing got what? Bad oil leak or something, that thing that exhaust, man, that thing will choke you out sitting in the back. You want to be cool and all sitting in the back of in the bus, but you back there choking, right? You back there can't even breathe trying to be cool, right? School bus are flooding the environment, right? Flooding. Right? So again, how important would that be? Again, if the school buses were what? Electric. Then think about who would be some of the most, foremost, I should say, purveyors of, that would be able to produce something like that on a mass scale. Now think about how many yellow birds it is around the entire country, because y'all know that's a what? I think they federal mandate the school buses. They follow these a federal mandate, right? Is it Yellowbird? I keep messing the name. It's one of them. Y'all know them yellow buses. Y'all know what it is, right? There's some people that have private ones, but for the most part, I think on the federal level, they're kind of controlled under that, that understanding of transportation, within that, right? School board, then school to state, state to federal, something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But there's tons of those school buses, tons of them. And just imagine if you were able to procure that contract. Right? If you were able to procure that contract, are you kidding me? To outfit all the buses in America to a clean energy initiative where they are now electric? Now, I know they're going to probably parse that contract out because they want one person. Yeah, Bluebird, that's what it is, Robert Ross. Thank you, family. They probably wouldn't want to have one company getting all that, right? They probably want to split up and let everybody kind of eat off that. Because that's a lot of school buses, guys. That is a lot of school buses. But that contract in itself is slated at $85 billion. Not just school buses, but public transportation as a whole. Again, trains, all that. Right? Think about New York. Think about those areas like that. Right? You got, trams, even trolleys and trams and stuff like that. It's in what? And what? Down in the war, right? The wars in Louisiana, right? Right? Just think about that. Public transportation as a whole. That's $85 billion coming their way, particularly if this bill gets passed. $85 billion for public transportation, right? So let me type that in the back chat, because that way at least it comes up. In the aspect somebody comes back and watch this later, of course. All right, so public transportation is looking to get $85 billion, right? That's a nice little bag, right? Again, for American-made companies to bid for, basically, right? Allocated for us that. So I would say definitely go look for companies who obviously have a publicly traded interest in around public what? Transportation. Of course, a lot of those stocks today, what? They got a bump. Like all week, a lot of those stocks got a bump. Right? I'm going to leave some of that stuff for y'all to do. I ain't going to just throw out everything. Right? Do a little research. Go look up publicly traded public transportation type companies and start your search from there. Right? Find those hidden gems that's out there. Present a thesis, whether it's viable or not, and then hey, you may see yourself taking a position. Who knows? Right? Some of that stuff, again, hey, there's so much opportunity out there. You just have to really stop, sit still, and think about everything that it takes to run America. The importance of an infrastructure bill in general is such a broad spectrum of what we all, again, partake in somewhat, quote unquote, little civil liberties, right? The accoutrements within our existence in America. Now, there's other nations out there kicking our butt, taking our names, China, Asia, even like people, Singapore, right? Man, Singapore, man, everybody want to be like Singapore. Even China got like, man, Singapore, like, hey, man, they so next stage with it and clean it. But, definitely China's definitely pushing that. China's suffering because they got heavy pollution, because they still in their industrial revolution. So again, they building so much and so fast. Of course, they got to deal with a lot of what carbon footprints, right? They got tons of it, right? That's what people go through when they build out their infrastructure. You're gonna have gas, fossil fuels being needed, and so again, the pollution, the smog, and everything else gonna choke you out. But of course, within that, the people that's on the ground living, they still getting the best of what. The best of life, because they got what? Space age technology, basic space age technology already today. They just walk to the store read their face, they biometrics, know how much money they got in the account. They ain't got to even play the cash register physically, They just walk in, get what they need. The register gets rung. By the time they walk out the door, the meter then scanned them, and it then took money out of their what? Out of their bank account, and they on their way. That's what's happening right now in China. That's what's happening right now in China. You can't even go into the, the local bodega, right? And you guys deal with, somebody behind the counter already looking at you crazy. I mean, y'all know what it's like. But America still has this facade of thought that it's like the best thing since sliced cheese. Well, you try to say from the government perspective because infrastructure and technology, we still got some, cutting leading edge technology here. Don't get it twisted. But let's be honest, guys. Let's be 100. A lot of that genius that America's obviously procuring in its schools, university, whatever, a lot of that stuff is actually going to defense. Stop lying to yourself. That stuff is going to defense. MIT, all that stuff like that, man. Come on, Southern Cal, man. A lot of people going into defense contracts and Raytheon, Boaz Hamilton, Northrop Grumman, Boston Dynamics. I mean, they go into those kind of things. Defense spending, building drones and weaponry. Man, see, that show you where the American mind's where his head's at. Right? Again, they spend $24 million on a jet, right? $100 million on a plane, and it'll sit and collect dust. Right? It'll sit and collect dust. So, of course, there's a correlation with manufactured wars, right? Obviously, duh. You buying all this stuff and can't use it. It's collecting dust. Why we built it? Why we paying off for it if y'all ain't gonna use it then? All right, let's drum up a war then. Let's start a fight. Let's pick a fight. I'll leave it up. Move on, brother. Move on. I want to lead into that conversation tonight. Y'all, I'll leave it alone right there. Moving on. All right, so another part of this infrastructure bill, $80 billion. $80 billion is actually going. Now I know I said transportation, but I was talking about railways, so like, but more so, not necessarily just private, but those were state or federal kind of scenarios that go within that. But they also got some private institutions out there too that some of this money is going to go to. So they have $80 billion, right? $80 billion going to Amtrak. How important is Amtrak? Well, Amtrak obviously does a lot of what? A lot of transportation and meets a lot of transportation needs from obviously greater New York all the way down into DC. There's people that actually take the Amtrak to and fro New York daily to go to work down in DC. I know that sounds far-fetched, but I'd be lying from fly. I actually stayed in that region to a degree when I was living in Upper Maryland, up above Bel Air area. Obviously, man, there's people that take that Amtrak into what? Delaware, Jersey, New York, just to work down in DC. So that rail system in perspective is very busy, very busy. It even runs out to Frederick, Maryland, right? Y'all know out there at Fort Detrick, right? Y'all get it, right? I'm just saying. So Amtrak finna get $80 billion potentially, right? They're trying to get $80 billion out of the infrastructure bill. Now, be honest, I'm finna look real kind of slow this because I ain't done this. I don't know if Amtrak is a publicly traded company. Right? No, they're not. All right, so I thought so. Right? I knew they were public, but unless they're on another ticker symbol that I may not know about, but that's a private company, right? So if y'all may know something that I don't know, but Google it real quick. I haven't looked yet, so that's all I'll let you know. I'm being honest. I'm transparent in this perspective. I haven't even looked yet, but they may be a private company, right? So may not be a publicly traded interest there, but that's $80 billion that's going to Amtrak. If they are publicly traded, y'all make sure y'all post that ticker down in the description in the chat right now, right? So we know that stock, obviously, if it was, will definitely be popping, right? So they're getting $80 billion, or they're looking to get $80 billion, right? $80 billion going to Amtrak. Another one that's very needed, right? Some of y'all definitely know, right? Some of these airports, man, are looking like third world airports. All this money. Matter of fact, I'm just going to say one off the top. If anybody ever flew into New York and flew into LaGuardia, this is New York City. That airport, LaGuardia, looked like someone man, look, that junk so ratchet and raggedy. This is in New York City. So 25 billion is going to the airports. A lot of these airports definitely need some restoration. A lot of them. Have y'all seen some of the airports overseas? Like the airport in like Dubai, definitely like certain parts of China, Singapore, man, them airports look space age. Matter of fact, there's some new ones actually even in Africa. Some new ones that just came obviously, but still there's some new ones in Africa that run circles around a lot of these airports here in America. True story. So 25 billion of this infrastructure bill, this first part, keep in mind it's a two-part bill, 25 billion is going to some of these airports. Very needed. I mean, you think about the busiest airport in America. What's the busiest airport in America? Some of y'all should know that off the top of y'all head. Of course, I already know what it is, but somebody posted in the back chat, what's the busiest airport in America? Right? Yep, 100% right. ETF jets, that's going to look at. So jets. But definitely, we're talking about infrastructure in terms of infrastructure bill. In terms of the airport, of course, they're going to benefit from it too. Because guess what? Airports, they get that kickback for having what? Being able to have, the airliners, obviously, now, bid to get more space inside of these airports for whatever, the Southwest, so many of them. But the ETF jets, that may be a part of it too. You're right, Oba. Right? So somebody tell me, what's the most busiest airport in America? Post it in the back chat, YouTube or Facebook. What's the most busiest airport in America? And I'm going somewhere with this for a reason, right? Because I actually live not too far from it. When I did live in that area at some point. What's the biggest airport in America? All right. Over Brandon, first one to drop out there, he said Atlanta. All right, what's the name of that airport? That's the city, but what's the name of the airport in Atlanta? There it is. Goes Ackerman's Hartsfield, Atlanta, right? That's the busiest airport in basically America. Some would say the world, right? So Rich B said Dulles, shy, right? I'm actually not too far from Dulles. Dulles is really, really right around the corner for me. Yeah, I know I'm up in the suburban area of DC. Ain't no secret, but no. Hartsfield. It's the busiest airport, literally. Some would say the world, because again, then the infrastructure or the hubs down there that feed into that. Again, UPS, FedEx, right? Again, all those packages that got to get moved out of that international area because it being kind of like a ground zero, like a middleman spot to get out west, down down in the Caribbean, out towards West Coast, definitely up towards what New York, Canada. From there, of course, you can take a lot of international flights from Hartsfield, obviously, across the Atlantic, whatever. So Hartsfield. Now any of my people that live in Atlanta, y'all know what I'm talking about. Down there, Hateville, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Hateville, Georgia. Basically that's just suburban. If you want to, I'm not even call it suburban. It's just basically out of skirts, Fulton County, right? Hateville. I lived in Hateville. I had a little condo in Hateville. Literally running distance to the airport. I could jog to the airport, right? All right, on the backside over there in the East Point, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know for my Atlanta folks. But the roads in and around getting to Hartsfield, especially at that time, I don't know what it's like now. It's been a little minute, but are ridiculously raggedy. And then once you get into Hartsfield, of course, the way it's set up, right? Kind of roundabouts there. You got a 285 perimeter. You kind of get off 75. Take 285 to get into it. You can get in from that way, or you can go up 75 and cross over and come through the airport from that way. But on the backside, a matter of fact, Camp Creek, right? My Camp Creek family out there, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Camp Creek area of Atlanta on the 285 perimeter on that west side over there, right? I mean, y'all know what it's like, man, especially on bad days when the traffic is raggedy out there. Again, the roads need to be kind of, set up a little bit, structured a little bit better. Again, the airport itself, it ain't bad, but it definitely needs some overhauling. But here's one of the busiest airports in the country. Basically, again, some would say the world. It needs help. All right, it needs help. And some of you other guys know it. Some of the other airports out there, they're just a hot mess. Right? You got O'Hara in Chicago. You got DTW Detroit. Man, y'all know what it is. Some of y'all y'all move around, fly around. Right? Even LAX, right? LAX out there, Los Angeles, right? Right? And they flew out of there some few times and here and there. And again, we're supposed to be the best, this, that, the third. Even the airports are just like whatever. Right? They're like whatever. So yeah, that that amount of money. What's going on, family? The snot ball, peace, power, profit to you over. Again, Ghost Alchemist came through the building, right? Peace, power, profit to you, family, right? That's a very much needed $25 billion to go to the airports because some of them really need it. I mean, they even got some areas, man. I don't know if y'all saw, they had some reports a while back that some of even the tarmacs at some of the airports are just, I mean, like, man, look. You got joker laughing at place in Africa because they landing on dirt roads in Africa, or maybe down there in South America and Brazil. But some of them, graded, at least dirt roads are better than some of the trash tarmacs in America. Think about even, man, look, Biscayne Airport out in Miami. Man, I can go on and on for days, man. Y'all know what it is. All right, Orlando, man. All right, move on, brother. So yeah, so some of the airports. So look for airport infrastructure type stocks. Again, over branded provided ETF Jets. That's very important because that Jets ETF has a lot of some of those values that's in there, right? That they can benefit off some of this infrastructure bill money. Again, $25 billion worth, right? So again, I'm not, like I say, today I'm just kind of name dropping some of the aspects of the bill. I'll leave it up to the family at this point to go research those kind of publicly traded companies out yourselves personally. Then we'll come back and talk about them at again a little bit more later time to kind of see what everybody came up with, right? I like doing things in that nature a little bit. Let's kind of get everybody involved because again, this is an investment opportunity that may be something great, or it might turn out to be not necessarily all that, but this is money that's getting ready to get allocated to some of these organizations, these institutions, right? That's a boost, right? I mean, just imagine if you're a company that pulls in maybe, let's say, $150,000 a year, small business, whatever. All of a sudden, you had a niche product or whatever that the government can benefit from. Obviously, even kind of recovery play with COVID, you 100% American made, own everything, and you get to kind of procure one of these government contracts to kind of facilitate some aspect of one of these bills, right? Millions of dollars. What does that do to your P&L overnight, right? Your accounting and bookkeeping. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. So it's the same thing that can happen to some of these stocks, right? It's pretty much the same thing. And so some of them out there, of course, they already kind of made their move this week, but there's still much more to kind of unfold as things progress. So again, $25 billion going to the airports. The next one, really quick here. Again, I'm going to wrap it up here shortly here. $17 billion is going to something that's very important as well, right? Especially my coastal people. Y'all know exactly what I'm finna say, right? Of course, I live down there near Savannah, Georgia. Definitely, got family down there, whatever. Stationed at Hinesville, Fort Stewart down there at Hinesville, right? So you probably already know where I'm going with that. If we talk about infrastructure, right? All right, these kind of like coastal areas, right? Right. The importance of them is very vital, right? Even New York, right? New York has some of these same things I'm gonna speak about. Obviously, definitely, out there on the LA, West Coast, whatever, up and down the East Coast, certain parts, definitely Louisiana, Texas, right? $17 billion is going to the Ports Authority, inland ways, and ferries. Right, Maine, Massachusetts, up there, that area. I know they have a lot of ferries up there. Even New York have ferries up there to get to certain these islands out there, right? Nantucket and all that stuff. Ports. I mean, how important is the Ports Authority? The Ports Authority is very important, like super important. Again, imports. Excuse me, I'm an expert. Imports and exports, very important. Been needing to overhaul a lot of these Ports Authorities, right? Again. When I got out of the military, I used to work for a company that did business, through the Savannah Ports Authority, right? So I used to have to go into the Ports Authority a lot. So you had a big trucking company that kind of had their businesses around the area too, like Great Dane, all the other like that trucking company. But just the containers and the shipping containers, stuff like that alone, those kind of businesses like that, like the Evergreen scenario that happened with the Suez Canal, right? All those different containers and all that stuff, right? Whatever, but very important. Right, the lift machines that have to pull those big containers up, how they offload the ships, fast or not, if they can't because the stuff is slow and the personnel and, the wall aspects of the port scenario itself. I mean, it's just a lot that goes into that. But a lot of these ports definitely need to get overhauled. Again, you look at scenarios like China, whatever, they so high speed with their port or export, because guess what? They export a lot of goods around the world. They said we definitely not going to cut corners when it comes to our ports authority. They have some of the most stable and sophisticated ports, literally on the planet. Mechanized, again, technology laden aspect make their logistical operations go a whole lot smoother than what we have to deal with in America. Because y'all know America is a country that necessarily don't export a lot. We do more import than export. We used to export a lot, right? I'm just going by the historical grid when I say we in that perspective. Now America does more imports than anything, right? Again, to land of decadence, right? You get some caviar from the Caspian Sea tomorrow if you wanted to, right? The land of decadence, right? Of course, you ain't finna get that in a lot of the other nations and countries because whatever, right? But yet still our infrastructure in terms of ports and whatever inland ways, very important. So we talk about inland ways, right? Where we at, Louisiana? Where my Louisiana family at? Y'all know doggone what I'm talking, man. That 9th Ward, right? May I remind y'all, Katrina, the levees, those inland ways, even parts of Florida. I'm from Florida, state of Florida. Man, there's certain parts of Florida that they need to beef up. They need to add more sand. They need to add more riffraff areas. They need to add more rocks. A lot of that stuff needs to happen, right? It's very important, right? Those inland ways need to get beefed up because you got all these storms that are being more dangerously, hey, they're getting worse and worse if you ask me. And every time a hurricane comes through, it erodes a lot of the but they call it, quote unquote, they call it the shelf, right? The shelf of the waterway, right? Right? That sand gets washed away, basically. That berm or that perimeter of natural sand. So yeah, you have to restock that to a degree. Bring in more sand, bring in more rocks, right? North Carolina, South Carolina, y'all, man, look. East and west coast of Florida, forget about it. Right? Hurricanes have no respect of area that they kind of go. They just find some warm water and a little wind behind, and they just ride out right there. Look, very important. Yeah, it does include railroads too. Oversnot balls. I spoke about that a little earlier. Public transportation, that fall on these public transportation, right? So definitely, that's $85 billion actually going to the railroads as well. Then again, there's also a specific one in terms of the Amtrak too, with $80 billion, right? So definitely keep your eye on some of these railroads. You're right. So Kansas City Southern, what's the other? Canadian Pacific. What we have, CSX in America, CSX railroad system. Who else we have in America? We have CSX, Kansas City. It's another Union Pacific. That's another railroad. Intermodal, right? I think they do tractor trailer, containers, and railroads. Some of those do like all three, right? They just highly beef up business models. So definitely. So inland ways. Again, the ports third and the ferries, right? Ferries are very important too, right? Again, some of these people that live out there on the island little townships or whatever, how important it is to have a ferry to kind of transport your car, to and from your little island every day. I mean, even something like that, right? There's people out there that live that life like that, isolated, right? Right? So yeah, it's very important. So $17 billion obviously is going to be allocated, of course, somewhat towards that, right? So it's very important knowing that at least, right? So I'm very excited to, at least see if they're gonna do something, because y'all living this stuff like I do, man. It's this stuff. Some of this stuff around America just raggedy. Roads, everything just raggedy. Signage. And that's how the police get you so much, because you barely can see certain stuff. That's how PG&E got busted, right? Y'all know PCNG, Pacific Gas and Electric, company, one of the companies that I know very well, right? If anybody got some really deep diving reporting on that company, it's gonna be me, right? The much as I trade that company, going back as far as 2017, and man, look, I know everything about that company, but they got hit. Man, all them fires that started out there in the West Coast, a lot of that stuff was at the helm of who? Pacific Gas and Electric. Didn't cut back the power lines. They didn't cut back a lot of the brush. Y'all know it's already a dry environment during fire season out there. They were just getting all this money. They had hands and money in the pockets of politicians. They had everybody bought up. Gary Brown, the old governor before Gavin Newsom got there, man. Look, these people, look, them people out there were running a straight racket. And left all them Californians out there just what? Man, look, good luck. That's all you can say. Good luck. Fire season, good luck. Right? Cal Fire, the authority out there, fire department, man, look. I'll be here for days talking about them. But nonetheless, that's why this stuff is important. Right? Because you have to clean up the grid. You're going to have to clean up the grid. You can't even have a well, you know what? Shout out to Elon Musk, real quick. Shout out to Elon Musk for trying to make, at this point, California going to really miss him on this one. He's actually for them build, man, several things in the state of Texas. He actually for to build his own city. Well, it's already a founded city, but he's going to build his own city, attract scientists and engineers from all around the world to live there, so they can obviously build out, their space program and other things that have to deal with, quality of life infrastructure. He's going to build one of the gigafactories as well to supply power. Y'all know you already got the solar roof panel business, and the gigafactory itself being there to kind of produce power packs for your house as well as your cars. Right? They're going to actually have power packs for your house. Some of y'all stuff already know this stuff, but y'all know these nerds things like this. We dig a little deeper. Power packs for your house. If your power ever go out, you don't need to have a stinking gassy behind electric generator. Now you get a chance to have what? A power pack at your house. And you have access for the fuel cells that's inside the battery of your car that you can plug into the grid of your house and have sustainable power in the midst of a blackout. That's what Tesla's doing. True story. Like already, like right now. Like right now. You can take power from your car, plug it into your house grid, and have sustainable power during the middle of a blackout. Next level cutting edge technology. Next level. And so Jugger right here playing around with these little dust behind little power companies, and Edison and Dominion and Georgia Pacific and whoever your power company is. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. These thieving behind ratchets, right? Hence, again, my picture, right? When I say, right, as the saying says, energy should be free, right? What if I told you energy exists, right? Free energy exists. That's what it really says without all this, my banners and stuff up there. Right? I got to take all that banner stuff down. But, free energy does exist. It's just that the government, will go out there with it, make sure that you don't have it. But there's other ways you partake in free energy too. Knowledge, being resourceful, right? There's so many different layers to that ideal of what free energy is, energy as a whole, not just even the tangible aspect of what we know it to be from electrification, but y'all get it. Now, so again, it just, to me, it's like, okay, that's why we have to be a little bit more open-minded. Once you become an investor, a lot of these kind of preconceived notions and biases that you used to have, you kind of strip them away, right? When it comes to things that obviously have to deal with, obviously, finance and, logic and reason and research. Now, I'm not necessarily your personal cultural morals and stuff like that. Now, that's different. Don't get it twisted. But I'm saying when it comes to market-related things, business, right? You learn how to be more strategic, structured, balanced, educated, right? You get exposure to all this information that the common public person has no clue about. You see the product before they even hear about it. Because we get a chance to read all the filings. We get to see the beginning stages of innovation in a raw state before it becomes a product that may hit the shelves, right? As an investor, we get all that first. Now, convince me how you don't want to be in such an opportunity. Number one, not just for the fact you can make money, right? A lot of it. But you get a chance to stay above ahead of the cutting edge technology. Not just in America, but China too. There are Chinese companies that are publicly traded in American markets. You get to read their files the same way. They may not be the most transparent when it comes to record keeping and bookkeeping, when it comes to delivering it towards American investors. But you still get to see the innovation, the technology, all those things like that. True story. Even in other markets, Tel Aviv, Israel, Hong Kong, Singapore, Europe, right? Germany, the DAX, right? The FTSE 100, Great Britain, y'all know what it is, Canadian, TSX, let's go, right? Ghana, right? The cities, right? Come on, South Africa, the rent, their markets down there too. Let's go. We get a chance to tap into all that. All the new products, and again, coming to market that the world has yet to see. We get a chance to kind of see about it, hear about it, whatever, before everybody else do. Sometimes even get a chance to partake in some of the beta products. I've had that happen before. True story, right? Showed it as a shareholder. I asked for it and the company sent me some samples. True story. Right? Owned the house at that. So again, hey, incentives are there. But again, we're trying to be more what? Again, knowledgeable about a lot of different things, right? Why wouldn't you, right? I mean, this whole entire planet is yours, right? Right? Don't let these people lock you into a little particular city, town, state, nation, whatever. All of this is yours, right? All of this is yours, right? So learn about it, right? Well, worst thing can happen, you're going to make some money, right? Right? You're going to make some money, right? So get excited for that. So real quick, so last one here, right? So this one here is very interesting, right? This one here is very interesting, right? Very interesting, this last one here, right? And there's other parts too, but we're going to come back and do more to this later on, right? I don't want to be on, like I said, too long, right? But I want to make sure I cover all the most important aspect of this bill, at least the monetary side of it. Then we can kind of come back later and hit some of the actual individual stocks. But I want to give you guys a chance to kind of look up some of the individual stocks. Y'all already know I have. Y'all know your brother, I don't play around, right? I already made money on plenty of these stocks already into this bill, right? Cash out today around about $700, I think, and just in some of my option plays that I had swung from yesterday, right? And that was just some of, I think, for the sum, whatever. Y'all know I always tell some of this stuff, but I think just in some of the ones that just swung yesterday that I had made money off the ones previous, turned around and bought more of them or got other ones from yesterday. Today alone was lying around about total 730 something in my Tasty Works. Right? Initially I was up like 500 like early in the morning around about 10 something. I first posted. They ended up picking up additional like 200, $200 or $300 extra $100 by the end of the day on the last one that I held. Right? That look kind of long was like about $700-800. I hit like about 200 plus in old dusty Robinhood, right? Option contracts, of course. Some SP contracts. I also had some in Tasty Works as well. And I made some day trades, obviously in my Webull. Crushed those. I didn't have any options that I closed out, but I had some options still going. But I made some intraday trades. Again, it was a pretty good day. I'll leave it at that. But nonetheless, this last one. This last bill here is very interesting because this kind of goes into what I was talking about earlier when I spoke about, the great, Dr. Claude Anderson, right? Some of you guys already know where I'm going with this. There's $20 billion going to be set aside in the allocation for disadvantaged communities and priorities latent level type transportation initiatives. The idea that I spoke about for the high-speed railway that Dr. Claude Anderson is putting forth right now, him and his team over at the Power Harvest Institute, to try to procure a contract to have a black-owned high-speed railway system. A black-owned high-speed rail system. Again, it's about time that Black America started to own some of the infrastructure in this country that we built and labored for free. Well, at least we need to have our name on some of this stuff at this point. And I feel like if anybody got a problem with that, if anybody has a problem with that, then you already know what I'm going to tell you. Right? You're going to go cry in your little cereal or whatever right now because you already know that dog ain't no hunt. Right? You can only rape, rob, and pillage a person for so long before they start to realize the game and get from beneath that and start realizing that, no, there's a debt that's owed. Stop playing. It's 2021. Stop playing. Cut them checks. Let everybody partake in the same value that you give immigrants that come over here. They get the fruit of the loins that everybody suffered and labored for. They literally get it, day one without any problems. And yet the people that's been here can't even get a half of that. Right? It's crazy. Not making this stuff up. Y'all. Yeah, look. Y'all know what it is. So again, out of that $20 billion, let's just hope again. Disadvantaged communities. Y'all already know what that's about, right? Priorities, transportation. Of course, that could be for also handicap and stuff like that as well. Because of course they need help too, right? But yeah, so that's $20 billion right there. That some of these quote unquote, I got to use that quote unquote, minority businesses can bid for now. Right? So definitely y'all might want to get with Sister Monica if you might be a business of interest that may can procure some of that. I think y'all might need to start looking to those contracts like today. Because by the time, they get through the meat of these bills, these two-part bills, right? America infrastructure and America and the people, right? Two-part bill, right? This is part one of it. Then, yeah, you need to have your, itemization, your contracts, your done, your sounds, all that stuff, Bradstreet, all that stuff ready to, cage code, everything ready to rock. So you can bid for some of those contracts, especially for nothing else, for disadvantaged communities. The same way they have within the PPP loan, where they had that special clause that if you lived in an environment or demographic, right, that had at least what they call like a minority demographic environment, right? You had to be under a certain threshold in terms of that community. You was able to procure at least $10,000 of the PPP loan without any kind of proof or paperwork or nothing. All you had to do is say you had a business and you had to draw down on that business at least about 20 to 30%. Niche business, barbershops, cutting grass, whatever. You was able to procure a $10,000 particular loan that is going to turn into a grant just by living in that community. So now they're offering up $20 billion for what? This infrastructure bill for disadvantaged communities. Get excited. They come here and say disadvantaged community, everybody except us. God, so we can't even get into disadvantaged community, huh, Sister Camille? It's that bad out there, huh? It's hard out there, boy. Look, Cat Williams style. Y'all already know what it is, right? Cat Williams style, right? But that's, again, a portion of that is supposed to be for, again, quote unquote, the minority communities. Right? I got to use saying these quotes and whatever. Right? You're 100% right. Over our time to level that playing field. You 100% right. Exactly. Riding the coattail of the civil rights movement. Yeah. Y'all know what it is. Again, y'all know I'm neutral over here, but I don't cut, I don't dance unless I'm, jigging. I don't scratch unless I'm itching when it comes to reality in terms of what I know I've lived in my life, and I know a lot of people have also lived. That I don't compromise on those things that I know to be right and exact. I don't care who you are. Right? If you can't deal with truth, you're on the wrong page. Right? You're on the wrong page, right? Because we don't hold back from nobody. We're going on Sloppy Joe. We're going to go in on Dusty Trump. We're going to go in on Dusty Nancy. We're going on everybody because we understand what's going on here. Right? You don't have to, you have to live underneath a rock to not understand how the American corporation actually runs and works. Or you have to live underneath a rock to not know how this place is actually operated day to day. Y'all thought that, come on, the riot on Washington? Seriously? That riot, right? That seditious act of whatever you want to call it on Washington, what was that about then? Right? I know that's going to make a lot, rub some people the wrong way, right? I know my numbers finna go down now, my viewers finna go down now, because you're like, uh-oh. No, I just keep 100. See, that's the problem. So if you can't face reality, you destined to always kind of live a lie. And from that very perspective, you're going to live a very jaded and biased life. And that also can affect your Your investment thesis. That's what I'm talking about. You have to get away from behind all these biases and these, this illogical thesis that you're trying to promote and thinking everybody's going to roll with that. Life does not work that way. Right? I'm too old to lie to a person knowing that they already know exactly what's going on themselves. Like, what's the use? What's the use? Right? So again, from that perspective, we're investors, we're traders, we operate under primary sources as much as possible. So the primary source leads us to a certain end result, then so be it. We're trying to make money. Right? We're trying to make dollars and cents out of all of this. Like anybody else that has the privilege to do so in this nation, globally, wherever. Crypto, Forex, stocks, does whatever. Right? The goal is to be open-minded, to deal with reality in a way that it is positioned truthfully. Right? I'm not going to play that game. Right? I'm just not going to play that game. So again, with that being said, make good decisions based upon unbiased data. If you pull from about 5 or 6 different sources and all of them lead back to a certain end result, then guess what? No matter how hard you try to be against it, you might just need to kind of go on the fold and accept the truth. Especially when your money on the line, because you ain't going to gain nothing trying to what? Be anti-reality when it comes to the market. Try to contrary and trade the market then and see what that do for you, right? Go against it when it's trying to go the opposite direction with all that hedge fund money and bank money and all that money, retail crazy money and ape money from these Wall Street bettors and all that money riding into, and you trying to go the opposite direction because you think you got some, all right, good luck. Right? I throw you a life jacket at some point, right? You be out there drowning, right? I'm going to throw you a little life preserve and like, yeah, I told you. Ran on out there, huh? You thought you was about that life, huh? You a paper chaser. You got your counter on lock, trying to remain a G. All right. I'll leave that alone. No, but you guys get it. So they say it's good. So I just want to kind of touch on, like I said, that, the aspect of the infrastructure bill, preliminary stuff. Of course, we can come back and later do another live stream. If not tomorrow, maybe Friday when we'll have a market day overall and go deeper into some of those things. But for the most part, that's just the money, the allocation of some of the money. I think that's of importance within the infrastructure bill that is very, vital for us to kind of circle our wagons around, because those companies that will be bidding for those contracts to be able to, provide that level of service, whatever the case, I think it's going to be very universal, right? And so, so don't sleep on that. Again, this is public information. It's not like you need me to be able to divulge this to you. Go to, Google and, download the actual bill itself, right? Download the schematics of it, right? I have some of the information, actually not necessarily the website, but as I always try to do, I try to add information down in my description box pertaining to, certain aspects of data. So the bill in itself, right, the policies that you see here, installing thousands of new electric vehicle charging stations, very important. Think about all the electric charging vehicle companies. Stations build those stations, those charge ports, right? Again, CHPT, that's one. Blink, that's another one. All right, there's so many. I ain't gonna give y'all all of them. Y'all know stuff. I leave y'all with a little work to do, right? All right, you got some of those funds to build energy efficient homes. Man, Tesla already in that category because they do what? Solar, and they got power packs. You got some of the other builders out there that's trying to new age a little bit, like KBH, definitely Lennar, right? They cutting edge technology, they new age. They're gonna start adding that stuff. And many others, right? Again, I'll be here for days, but I'm not gonna give everybody all the answers. Go do a little bit of your own work now. Constructing new electric power lines. Oh man, how important is that? That's where actually, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but actually PG&E, right? Pacific Gas and Electric, same company I was talking about that got gutted in California, excuse me, actually partnered up with Tesla. Right? This is before Tesla actually moved out of California. I don't know if that's still on or not, but they had partnered up with Tesla to kind of offer a better way. Grid schematics for the state of California. True story. I don't know if that, again, if it's still on or not, since Elon done moved, but I hope they are, because they can really help those companies like that. Right? Because y'all know a lot of these cities around the nation need power lines like crazy. Raggedy. Literally, a bird can fly on one of them and it'll fry it because it's that ratchet. Them type. Right? Like, you ain't got no sheath metal covering over those wires and then, man, what y'all got? What kind of janky mess is this? Right? In America, right? So again, if you want to read the rest of that, go down my description box. You'll see it down there under the this little heading that I got called the bill. You'll see more of that bill and value. And then from there, again, go Google the rest and you'll get, all the other stuff, the pertinence. All right? Electrification of America. Basically, that's about the best way to put it, right? It's the electrification of America. All right? Because that's where everybody's, leaning towards, right? Other nations are already headed that way. So it's about time America get there as well, right? Less carbon footprint. I'm all for it, right? Again, I do want to make sure that, my future generation and family can live into the future and have at least some kind of level of stability. Everybody out here fighting cancer and everything else from all this other trash and pollutants and fossil fuels and nitrous oxide going into the crops, and you just eating cancerous. Man, look, all right. Let me be quiet, man. I'll be here for another 8 hours. All right, guys. So that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the bill. Again, it was very quick, powerful, potent. again, kind of got through what I want to discuss somewhat for the most part that you guys can go look up yourself within the infrastructure bill, meaning the monetary side of that. Go find those companies out there that's going to benefit. That's all I'm going to say. Go find them. They're out there, right? They're definitely out there. Go find them, right? So we can get paid, and because I think it's important that we realize, hey, that's where that's where we're going. All right? That's where the world is going. Definitely, that's where the world is going. All right. So shout out to everybody who want to be a part of that leading edge, cutting technology, all that. Again, be bullish towards getting paid. Right? That's what it's all about. Get aggressive and bullish towards getting paid. Not necessarily mean just completely bullish, with the market. No matter whatever direction you're going, just be bullish in that direction. Right? That's what I'm saying. So get bullish about getting paid. Right? You want to be like this bull right here. Right? And see, that's somebody out there trying to control and trade the market right there. Don't be that guy. Right? You don't want to be that guy. You want to be the bull. You want to be the bull. Like, you got the person out there trying to block you from your opportunities, right? Telling you, man, why you out there learning how to invest and all that stuff? No, I want to be the bull, right? I'm gonna be aggressive in getting what I need, right? Because look, you're getting in the way of you building your goals out. Guess what? Y'all know what it is. It's 2021. People ain't got time to waste their time any longer, right? Get with people who are out there, obviously trying to have a better way of life, trying to live life, with less stress as possible. There's already stressful out in the world. You don't need people blocking you. Keeping you, holding you back, making life hard for you. No, be bullish about what? Change. Be bullish about aggressively making life better for yourself and others around you, right? Again, that's what it's all about at the end of the day, if you ask me. Right? So, with that being said, y'all know how we do. We're going to end the day because, again, today was another good power bag day for myself and many others I saw in the group. So, y'all know what it is when you kind of made those good trades, right? And that thing then, hit right, it missed around and caught that, that breakout, and the option contract began to turn over fast, and that money began to turn over quick, and you to make that bag. I don't care if you went long or short, whatever it is, and you got paid, boy. You turn around, look at everybody, and be like, yep. You to make that money, boy. That's not another bad. We've been hitting that little one there up for a lot lately because we've been getting it in lately. I'm just saying, I've been watching it, and Joker been getting paid. So one more time for the road, boy. When you get that call that I put, that thing hit right, and you'd have made you about $200, $300, $500, $600, $700, $800, $1,000. Man, look. Just saying, y'all know what it is. That's it, guys. So I'm gonna get out again. Peace, power, profit to everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the video. Of course, I gotta get used to saying that. Share it with your young folk. Again, y'all know we PG rated over here. We're trying to build out a community of people who are going to now take over what we're going to leave behind at some point. So get these kids involved. Stop sitting there acting like you already let them get miseducated at the school. Well, guess what? Don't let them get miseducated when it comes to understanding financial literacy, because nobody's teaching this stuff at this level. Let's be honest, right? No one is teaching kids how to be financially literate in the markets of any of that. Not in grade school unless you go to some private institution. So these kids need to learn about investments. They are to partake in it in a lot of different ways through their consumerism aspects of wants and needs. Teach them how to go out there and fish for themselves early. How to take their allowance money, turn that 5, that 10, that 20, that 100 into what? Other 10s, 20s, 30s, hundreds, and thousands. That will change their whole existence. Trust me when I tell you that. Ain't no better feeling as a child to be able to make your own money, and you don't have to work totally hard to do it. You can use the best muscle you have, which is your brain. So guess what? Get your kids involved. Have them come through as well. Again, PG rated over here. No problem. They're in good hands. Trust me. All right. So with that being said, see you guys on the next one. Again, stay healthy, stay well. Uncle Josh Neb, and greetings. And I would say, peace to the family. See y'all on the next one. Peace, everybody. Shem Hotel.